have been approached in public by people saying, oh, you're Gigi, or like, you're that painter online. And I'm like, yeah. Do you have an extreme couponing friend? You need an extreme couponing friend, okay? We started painting together and I just asked my followers like, hey, can I paint your pet? Send me a picture. And finally someone was like, hey, paint my family. I was like, what? You want me to paint people? Hi, I'm Gigi, viral artist and painter online, and this is The Layered Onion. Oh, a viral artist. I thrive with the internet, and part of my art creation process is creating content, editing content, and putting it out there for people to see. My videos get thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of views, and so that is a whole nother art form in itself. So when we were in lockdown, it was in 2021, and we were all stuck together. I was doing these really tiny, like 2x3-inch portraits, and I had just decided, I had seen the 100 heads challenge that's really popular online, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do the same thing that everyone else has done. Plus, I was very unhappy about being alive. And so I needed to have something that pushed me through for an extended period of time, where it wasn't just a 1-month thing or a 2-month thing.
That's really quite brilliant, by the way.
And thank you. We have to put those benchmarks. Sometimes it's a jelly bean at the end of a paragraph, like it's whatever gets you through it. And so this was kind of that thing. And my father had told me the secret is do whatever gets you through. Like in life, you have to do whatever it is that gets you through it. And so for me, it was connecting with people online because that's all we had access to, and asking these questions that I started thinking about as a teacher when I was with all these 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds, that's the most fun time of life, I've heard. But who am I? Who are you? How do we fit in on this planet together? And then I looked at who's being painted, who's represented, who's not represented, who's here, who wants to be here. And I invited people into this conversation of consent as well. So middle schoolers get in fights. It's normal, that's just a thing. We're figuring out how to communicate, how to read the thoughts that are inside of ourselves, and then process what's coming in. And so through this project, kind of took what those kids really needed. And I noticed that adults are just big grown-up kids. We all need the same things, just maybe in different stages. And all this started because I went to my friend. Do you have an extreme couponing friend? You need an extreme couponing friend, okay? Because they know things that we don't generally know. But she got into this app and she was like, if you buy something, then I get some money and you get some money. And I was like, okay, cool. I had lost all that weight. I wasn't about to buy clothes, but I could buy some art supplies. So I got into it with some cheap craft paint from the store and some really simple canvases. And so this is number 188, Nicole from Milwaukee. So literally everyone, there are people from all over the world, but I just happened to pick up 2 from the United States. But this was number 188, and you can see we've kind of moved less from like a blocky style of painting to a little bit more understanding of shading and understanding of some of the design principles here. And it's not complete. Oh, I have a dog. If you're an artist with a pet, you know what I'm talking about. But it turned out really beautiful, and I still want to keep on working on it. But because we have to do 1,000 portraits, I also have like a personal rule that I complete them in about a day, or like one sitting, and move forward. And it's about the process more than the completed piece. And it's about the relationship and the trust that you build with somebody, and everything else will come. This is number 85. And now I'm on number 200. Coming back to it, if you're going to do a big project, you should think about budget, and not only money budget, financial, but also think about time budget. How much time and how much space do you have in order to do the work you want to do? They're not limitations, but they're good to have as guides so that you understand, where is this going to come from? Who's funding it? And how much time are you going to give yourself? These were just earlier ones. This is number 101. This is Nico. He lives in Texas and works in the health industry. Like, there's just so many interesting people with their own perspectives and journeys and stories. And I've learned that nobody's completely right or completely wrong about anything. A lot of things are about perspective and understanding. We all experienced it together, but during the pandemic, we needed that community. We needed that connection. And I came from a very structured background as a middle school teacher. You have to be on. You have to be ready at every moment of the day. And I was up from like 7 a.m. I didn't get home until 10 p.m. every day. It was like that. I was that teacher who was emailing back to students at 3 a.m. if they sent me a question about their homework. So I missed that, and I craved that. And actually, to the point where I had a severe mental health crisis during the pandemic. And so, like, from 2020 until 2021, I was just looking for answers. And then I got a diagnosis after months and months and months of waiting. Our medical system kind of failed us, especially during that time. But I found out that I have bipolar disorder. So I was having psychotic episodes, I was having manic episodes and kind of flashes, like rapid cycling. And it just was really unbearable to live with, and especially to live within a box. If you can't get out, you can't do things, it's like you go stir crazy and then you start ruminating. It just was unhealthy. And so during that time, I was taking a medical leave of absence from teaching, which I missed my students. I missed my routines. I missed being able to just have casual conversations at work and connect with people about their weekends. And so I was finding healing and also finding a new norm. And so I created one, because it was really either you had to come up with a hobby or a passion, or you ended up kind of watching a lot of TV or something, you know? So I started painting. My students actually are the ones who got me into getting on TikTok. And I didn't want to be on TikTok. I have no rhythm. I can't dance. I thought that's what it was. And at that point, it kind of was. But then I was like, wait, we should know what our kids are up to. I should know what their passions are and their hobbies and interests are if I want to connect and actually teach them from the heart. So I joined TikTok and created a little community. And so I started posting and immediately went viral. People just were really drawn to the things I was doing. I was giving away my clothes. I had lost an immense amount of weight. I lost like 80 pounds, and it was during that like manic episode time. So physically and mentally and spiritually, I was just broken. And so I needed to feel whole again. And so this was really just a project that came at the right time, really. And so when I started by giving my clothes away. Like I said, I lost all that weight. And every time I looked at this crowded hoarder's closet of clothing, I was kind of sad because I couldn't wear these clothes. I didn't have any more memories to make in them, but I knew someone else did. And there were lots of people who had extreme body changes and didn't have access to anywhere to buy any clothing. So people ended up paying shipping, and I just shipped my clothes out to people, and that was it. And then we started painting together, and I just asked my followers, like, hey, can I paint your pet? Send me a picture. And finally, someone was like, hey, paint my family. I was like, what? You want me to paint people? Okay, because we just say yes to things, you know? If you don't take those little risks in life, you'll lose out on a lot of opportunities. So just say yes once in a while, and you'll find yourself in new and in possibly exciting situations. So I started painting then my followers, and it became this steady connection, interesting conversations. You get to know people from literally around the world. I've painted people from South Africa, Australia, India, Germany, Italy, from Chile, like Mexico, almost every state as well, and Canada, including more. There's so many more places. But we found out so many interesting things about each other that it just kept on growing. And I decided, going back to having that mental health crisis and lacking any formal schedule to my day, that I needed something. So this is my very first ever journal. And on the back, I drew Frida Kahlo's watermelons, the Vita La Vida. It's all kind of gone because it's well used. So at the beginning, I set a lot of rules for myself, including that I needed to track my mood and intention. So this is for my bipolar disorder. I figured I didn't want to take medication, but rather I wanted to figure out how to live with myself. And so this is a chart that has my energy levels inside and my energy levels outside of myself, and how those kind of came together. And honestly, I recommend this for anybody as a wellness check, and as just a mindfulness journal system and tool. And I think a lot of kids would really benefit from it, just to take a moment to identify, where are you? I was just constantly curious and kept my sketchbook with me constantly as well. So this journal shows a progression and growth. And it also holds make ugly art. Make art that doesn't have to be pretty for anybody. It's not about that. It's about the process. So then at the end of this whole process of creating this journal, I kind of just sat down with myself and wrote some intentions moving forward, and realized that we're going to have to figure out how to make it as humans on this planet. And we lost a lot of humans, and we have to figure out how to survive that. And there was just a lot that I think a lot of people haven't processed what happened to us during that time period between 2020 and 2022, or 23, and ongoing, honestly. And so being heard, being felt, feeling like you're respected, having a voice, and also having the opportunity to decide not to contribute or to contribute, and not being pushed, I think is something that we have to examine as humans and as a full population, and give space for people to do that as well. And so this project is me taking that space and asking people to come in and make a decision. Would you like to consent to this? If you don't want to, that's okay. And I won't shame or blame. It's just, we keep going. So I was a teacher, and so I learned how to teach, and I learned how to learn, but then I also learned how to have an intense amount of energy and fury in anything you do, through kindness. And so branding, just branding yourself. And my recommendation for any artists out there who are very interested in growing their platform is to create pillars for yourself, moral pillars that your business and your artwork stands on, and personal goals for yourself with the time attached to it, right? SMART goals is something that a lot of people are familiar with now. So I set goals. I wrote them down on a whiteboard. I typed them into my phone, and everything that I had written down came true within the next 2 years. So some of the funding, a lot of the funding, it was self-funded. I took out my retirement fund from when I left teaching. And I used that to purchase a lot of supplies and equipment. Filming equipment is not cheap. Memory is not cheap. I think honestly, the equipment is the cheap part, and then the memory is the expensive part, and the editing software and things like that. So I did figure out a budget. I figured out all those things, but I couldn't have done it, I don't think, if I hadn't have had this background of education and been so spoiled by having an education. Really, it's like, it's such a privilege to be able to explore the things you're interested in openly and with support. Just showing up. Like they say, 90% of success is just showing up. Just be present, and be present as yourself. Be authentically you. I showed up at the Dana Arts. They have a business conference, and it was amazing. If you're in Wisconsin and you're an artist or a creative person in any way, or you're curious about it, or your business wants more arts in it, go to this event. It happens every year, and it's put on by the Dana Arts, and Artlit Lab is where it's located. So that was an amazing opening, and I volunteered to help out and support other artists through it. And since then, I've got a studio space through the Artlit Lab. So big thank you to the Artlit Lab and all the work that they do. We need more art nonprofits in our communities supporting the artists. I think the biggest piece of advice I would give to my younger self is a reminder that nobody knows how to be a human until they're doing it. And so your parents aren't experts on being a human, your teachers aren't experts, but we're all trying. And just to know that whatever is something that drives your curiosity, to go for it and just to do it. Don't think about what other people are thinking about you. Don't think about what you're thinking about you, but rather innately just enjoy the process, and everything will fit. Can I paint you? There's a link that you can submit to. It's a Google form. You can put your name, your pronouns, your story if you'd like to, and an image. There's some rules and guidelines, so make sure you follow those, but we're removing the filters off of ourselves and coming as ourselves. Don't cut your forehead off. I love your beautiful forehead, okay? I'm Gigi, viral content creator and painter, and this has been The Layered Onion.